Hey YouTube, right, just wanted to do this little piece of camera to put on the front of the video for this Veridian cruise kit that I've got for the Himalayan, which is behind me here. Just wanted to say a couple of things. After editing the video and putting it together, I thought there's a couple of things I needed to say. First of all, I apologise for not getting everything in shot beautifully and things slightly being out of focus in the actual fitting video. As I'm sure you understand, if you do anything like this, one hand holding the camera, generally your right hand, so you're doing everything with your left hand, so it's difficult. You're trying to focus on what you're doing, so your camera isn't always necessarily pointing in the right place. Anyway, I think I've got across how easy it is to fit, and it is simple. Veridian Crews have done a really good job of creating a kit that's very straightforward. It's literally 3 plugs. Well, actually it's 4 plugs, but there we go. The other thing I wanted to apologise for is about 22 minutes in is where we get to the actual ride. So if you don't want to watch the install video, jump to 22 minutes or thereabouts, you'll see the ride. I need to apologise for the audio on that. Unfortunately, the kit I have at the moment, I haven't got an internal mic in my helmet that works with my GoPro. So at the moment, it was just the microphone on the GoPro, so I was having to shout. And you're getting a lot of wind noise, so it is a bit annoying. It is a bit difficult to hear what I'm saying, but it's the best I could do. So there's the apologies out of the way. I do think it's a good bit of kit. I look forward to seeing your comments. Please do comment. Please do hit the like button. Hit the thumbs down button if you don't like it, but put a comment in and tell me why you don't like it, because I can't improve if I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Anyway, here's the video. Enjoy, and we'll see you in the next one. So it's a marvellous one-handed video time. So here is the box. A proud Canada flag there, always good to see. Yeah, this was posted on the 8th. So what are we now? Don't know what day we're on now. 14th. So that's 6 days. Bearing in mind 2 of those were a weekend, that's not bad from Canada to here. That's the commercial invoice, and the value $409. Like I say, I had to pay my import duties and whatever, but it's here. We try the mad one-handed unboxing, which might be harder than it first looks. In fact, it is harder than it first looks. There we go. Right, so just show you what actually comes in the box. I'll just put my hand over my details. So there you go. You can all read that. All sorts of helpful information, general procedure, little update there that the plug is now black, not white. I don't know whether you've seen their video done by I think it was Jackson who works for them that did it. It was very good install video, in fairness. Mine's just going to be a little bit more in depth maybe, because he'd pre-routed everything before he was showing us where everything went, whereas I'm actually going to take you through the whole process. But yeah, there's a few pages. There's even a pin out, look, which is fantastically useful. That gives you all the information you need. So that's the full pin out for the plugs. So should you come across any issues and you're at the garage and they say, well, we've no blooming idea what any of this does, there's proof of what goes where. So the actual thing itself, so this is the switch to go on your steering on your handlebars. So nice clicky switches, we like that. Looks to be very nicely made, very good quality. No corners cut there. I'm guessing this is the box of magic, and that's 3D printed. I know this because I do 3D printing. So that's a 3D printed case for it. So that's interesting. Good cabling, nicely put together. Everything labelled as it should be. So yeah, really nice looking piece of kit. Right, so now we've seen what comes in the kit, we shall fit it using the provided instructions. There is already a video available on their website, but I find that on this video a lot of the cabling is already run, so we're going to do the full install, absolutely everything, so there's no misunderstandings about where anything goes. I will say at this point, my spike is not standard. So if you see anything in any of this video that doesn't look the same as it does on your Himalayan, don't worry about it. I've got extra lights, I've got heated grips, I've got a car pure ride system fitted. So there's an awful lot of cabling in this bike that won't necessarily be in yours. If you stick to what I'm talking about and the connections I'm using, this will be absolutely fine. So I know this may sound ridiculously simple, but some people will have never removed their seat. So we're going to go through it, the whole lot. So this is the right hand side of the motorcycle as you sit on it. So it's the same side as the rear brake and the exhaust. There's a keyhole right there. Put your ignition key in, turn it clockwise, and that will remove the rear seat. So once you've got the rear seat removed, you will find that you have a toolkit under there. Comes in very useful. So the next thing we remove is the main body of the seat, and to do that you simply grab it at the back here, lift it and slide it backwards. And what it actually does is that bar locates under there and that bar sits back here. So that's the seat removed. On to the next part. So now we're coming to the removal of the petrol tank. Now this isn't as difficult as it sounds. You don't need to be very worried about this. What I will say is make sure you have a blanket or a duvet or something close by that you can sit your tank onto. Making sure that you don't dent it, scratch it or anything else. So a good duvet nearby or a thick blanket or something to put the tank onto while you're doing the other work, I think is a really good idea. We will start by removing this bolt, Allen bolt here, which removes this plastic cover. Then we will remove 1, 2, 3 bolts from here, and then we will show you the connections underneath the tank here and at the side here that we need to undo before fully removing the tank. So it's just a 4mm Allen key into there. I'll remove my power from there. 4mm Allen key into there, loosen it off, unscrew it, and then we can remove this plastic cover. It's a little difficult to do one-handed. In fact, it might be easier if I pull the bolt out first. Plastic cover off, that goes up that side there and up this side here, and that just pops forward. You see, it just pops forward. There's 2 little clips to push it off there, so you're just pushing it forward, you're not doing anything weird with it. Pushing it off like that, and then that will lift out. You see, there's just the locators. So you literally, when it's undone the bolt, you push it forward like that, and that removes the locators from the studs, which are down in there. And like I said, there's 3 to remove here. That's 1, 2, 3. And that's the 5mm Allen key. So we'll just loosen those up. 1, 2, 3. And I shall spin those out. With those removed, that means this bracket is now loose. which means we can lift the tank. Again, a little tip, put a rag or something around the top of here like I'll show you now, so if the tank does happen to move forward, we don't chip any of this paintwork either on here or on the top section there. So with that towel or rag in place, it does mean now that when you lift the tank, there's no chance of it hitting anything. It's just a bit of extra protection, extra bit of peace of mind. Now we're going to find a chock of wood to sit under the tank here, so when we lift the tank up we can wedge it like that, which makes it a lot easier to get to the fittings for the fuel tank. So with a piece of wood just wedged under there, it means we can get in here. I'll try my best to show you. These are the fittings for the fuel tank. Now these are they're push clips, so you have to put a finger on each, finger and thumb on either side, push it together like that, and then pull the hose off. Don't worry about fuel leakage. It's built in such a way that there'll be very little fuel leakage, if any at all. So you just have to fiddle about and get your fingers in there and get that pipe nipped off. So with the fuel pipe removed, there are two more pipes which are just push on. There's a fuel return and a breather. If you just put your hands up, grab them from the top and pull straight down, they both just come off. They are different sizes, so don't worry about when you go to put them back in. You can't get them wrong because the diameters are different. And there's an electrical plug to remove from here, which is difficult to show you while it's in place, but you push in on the tab here. I'll bring it out and show you. So you push in on this tab here, and then it just slides down and out of the way. Now with all those pipes and electrical connections removed, you can now lift the tank higher up, and we need to disconnect this fitting here, which is just a simple push and disconnect. So we'll do that and then we're ready to remove the tank. So with that plug removed, we can now lift the tank off and place it somewhere safely. At this point, a tip, make sure your tank's not full of fuel. Run it till it's very low before you do this, because this tank can be quite heavy, needless to say. I've just filled mine up, so I've got a full tank of fuel to move. But if you're sensible, wait until your tank's nearly empty, so it makes the removal and the replacement of the tank a lot easier. So with everything disconnected, we're just going to lift the tank from the back and get our hand under here and lift the back, pull the fuel tank backwards, and then we can place it to the side until we're ready to refit. So it's just a matter of grabbing the tank here, grabbing the tank here, lifting, little jiggle, get it off its two mounting points, lift it up, and lift it clear. Like I say, an empty tank is a far better idea than a full one. Now in the instructions, the next thing to do is to fit the cruise control unit onto the handlebars. Now as you can see, I have a switchgear here for my auxiliary lights, and the gap in here isn't wide enough to fit the controller. The controller is wider than the gap I've got. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen these two bolts here, slide the clutch lever over to the right enough that we can fit this into that gap there. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference to the clutch pull. In fact, if you look at the other side, on the other side here, I have the remote control for my carpio ride, so I'm quite used to how the levers are. And if you actually look at the lever, just come round to this side to show you a bit better. The lever doesn't have a problem. It pushes up, it's not fouling anything, it's perfectly fine. I'll show you better when I've got those bolts moved. So these are 8mm bolts. So all we have to do is loosen them off like so, and that gives us enough room to move this over to fit the controller. Now I've moved my Insta360 mount out of the way just to make the whole thing easier, but you can see how easily that just wobbles across like that. Like I say, I'll show you the clutch. You can see where it sits onto the grip, so it doesn't make the clutch lever short in any way, shape or form, but that does leave you enough room there now to fit, if I can find its end. Oh, it's down here, look. Fit this into there. Simple matter of undoing that there and then torquing it up, as it actually says on the plastic, to 1 Newton meter, and then we'll just run the cables. So with that fitted and torqued up to 1mm, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my clutch lever and just sit it so it feels comfortable for my positioning of use, and then I can tighten up those two 8mm bolts. So the plug end we're now going to feed down behind the restraining wire here, round and down to the right hand side of the tank and round to here. So with that cable fed round and down to here, I'll just tuck it into there for now. At this stage I would not fit any cable ties or strain relief until you've got the whole kit fitted, and remember to move the handlebars all the way from side to side when you do that, to make sure that it doesn't snag anywhere, that there's plenty of free play on the cables and it's not tightening up any point. But like I say, I wouldn't do any cable management or tying off until such a time as the full kit is fitted and checked that it's working. Now I have to feed this red end of the main unit, which is the diagnostics cable, and we're going to run that behind here, through here, down underneath this plate here, up this side, so we can plug it into here. You may find that it's easier to loosen these 4 bolts up so you have some play in this plate for when you're feeding the plug through. So I just loosened those 4 10mm off, lifted this up, I slid this plug underneath. You can, if you want to, you can remove that plate in its entirety. Just make sure when you refit it that you get these holes here lined up with the threaded sections below. Otherwise, when you go to refit your tank, you will struggle. So just make sure that if you do remove this plate completely, you get it lined back up again afterwards. So now it's just a matter of fitting this cable into there. So you have this waterproof rubber cover that you remove, and then the blanking plug. It is literally just a matter of pushing down on that like so, and that plug cap will come off, which again is very difficult to do one-handed. In fact, it's now impossible, so just bear with me 2 seconds. So there we go, that's it removed, and then we simply fit that onto there. Again, which is much easier to do with 2 hands until it clicks into place like that. And then we'll stow that away down the side there. Again, cable management, leave till the end, make sure everything works and that you have plenty of slack and no snags anywhere before you cable tie anything into place. So we're now going to attach the main unit to the frame as per the instructions, which is there. So it's behind the post for the fuel tank. That's where the fuel tank slots onto, and above the radiator cap there. So we're just going to cable tie it to there, and then we can do the wiring, which is just here. That's safely secured to the wiring harness in the correct position, and now we will just fit the plugs. So very straightforward. The cable from the handlebar controller plugs into the white plug, so it's white plug to white plug. So with the wiring harness run into place, we just remove this connector here, which is just a push clip on this side, push in, pull the connector apart, and then we splice this plug and socket into that. So the socket that's here, you put the plug into, and then the plug that you've taken out of there, you put into the socket. And it's as simple as that, and it just splices the control box into the loom at that point. So we'll do that, like so, and then like I say, we'll literally just splice in those two connectors into the loom at that point. So at this point we just want to check that the control box is getting the correct signals from the brake levers. So what we do is we turn the ignition on, let it cycle through. You will get an error saying that the fuel level sensor has failed. That's because it's not connected. So we'll go down to the control unit. I'll just zoom out of it, and you can see it's emitting a yellow ambery light, and then I pull on the front brake and it flashes red, so that tells me it's picking up that signal. And then we'll do it with the back brake, and the same thing, we get the flashing red light, which tells me it's picking up the signal from the back brake. So we know that it's wired correctly and that it's picking up the correct signals from the front and rear brake. So now what we'll do is we'll just put it all back together, cable tying it and checking to make sure that we aren't trapping any cables anywhere. So I'm going to cable tie those two plugs back to there. We're going to cable tie the run from the switch down and through, like I say, making sure you've got plenty of slack. We'll cable tie that plug, which is that one, up as well. Like I say, make sure you've got plenty of slack for movement of the handlebars, so we don't have a problem with that. Check your wiring where it runs through here and under here to make sure that it's not snagging anywhere or chafing anywhere. And then we'll cable tie back to there. And then it's just a matter of reverse process, putting your tank back on, connecting your connector there, connecting your fuel return and your breather pipe, connecting the fuel pump socket, that all goes under the tank, and then seat back on, and then we'll just take it out for a run and see how it works. So here we are, the top of Sutton Bank in North Yorkshire. Some of you will know it. And we're just going to do a quick run down into Helmsley, and I'll just show you the basic features. So hopefully you can see it here, fitted. So just avoid Mr. Tweedle. So it's very simple. That's your set, reset in the middle, and plus, which is resume or speed up. It speeds up or down in increments of 3 kilometers an hour. So pressing the plus brings it up 3 kilometers an hour. Pressing the set button will bring it down 3 kilometers an hour once it's set. Now I've actually got it set to about 57, which I just got sorted at the bottom of the hill, so I could use that at any point until I've turned the engine off. If I just press that button now, it will automatically try and take me to this 57 miles an hour I've got it set to. But we won't do that, we'll do it properly. Hopefully you can hear me. So the cancellation is depressing the clutch cancels it, hitting the front or back brake cancels it, and changing gear cancels it. So any of one of those states is met, the system will cancel itself. But you can press resume, which is the plus button, and it will resume to what it was before you cancelled it. So we're doing a steady 52. Oh, the other one of course is the throttle. If you move the throttle by more than, I believe it's 5%, it will also cancel it. So we'll just get around this corner here. Just got to wait for a fairly straight piece of track. I've got my thumb on the button, so we'll set it to 52. And that's it, it is now set at 52 miles an hour. So I've got my hand off the throttle. There we are, cruise control is now working. So if I press the plus button, you'll see I accelerate, 54, 55, it'll sit around 55, 54. Press it again, it accelerates again. And then if I press the set button, it will just drop it down the same amount. So that will drop it down to 55, 54. Press it again, I've now cancelled it. Press the resume button. Oh, yeah, press the resume button, there we go. And you can hear the throttle power up. You can see it powering up. And there we are, 52, 53. Now I'm going to depress the clutch at this point. The issue with this is the engine will rev a little before it cuts out. So there is a slight delay between you dipping the clutch and it disconnecting. So you do get a bit of a rev. But I don't know whether you'll be able to hear that, but you might be able to see it on the rev counter as I do it, because I'm going to change up to 6 and then press the resume button again, which will take me up to this speed but in 6th gear. So the clutch goes in, see the revs dip up, there I am now into 6th. So I'm just holding the throttle on my own, but if I just press the resume button now on there, and that's now back into that mode. So I can press the plus button again and bring me up to nearer 60. So we'll just press it again. And that's not using the throttle, that's just using the plus button. We're at 58. Press it again. I've just pressed the cancel button. With these big gloves, I seem to be able to press the cancel button quite easily. So that's just one thing to keep your eye on, is that you don't use thumbly big fingers like me. These are my intermediate gloves and they just seem to be able to touch both buttons at once. My summer gloves don't do that. So we'll just get to where I can see where we are. Right, that's the resume button hit again. So back we'll go to about 57, 58. There we are. Up to 60. And we'll just hold it there. There's my hand off the throttle completely. There we are, cruising at 60 miles an hour. Like I say, a simple matter. Pressing the front or back brakes ever so slightly will also release cruise control, as will opening the throttle up. As we're on a nice clean piece of road, we'll just let it go. As you can see from the speedo, just sitting around the 59-60 mark. Might hit 61 on the downhill section here, but the engine braking will bring us back into line if it should speed up too much. As you can see, it's holding a good steady speed there, no issues at all. Just go into this corner. Now this corner tightens a little here, so if you're in a nervous disposition you might just have tapped the brake then. But I know this road rather well, so it isn't an issue. But as you can see, the system works perfectly well. I'll just tap the back brake now. There you go, off it goes. So I'm now onto the throttle control only. The system is turned off. But as soon as I'm happy, I'm in a section where I'm happy to proceed at the speed I'm at, I can just press the resume button and it'll go back to what I've set it to. So just as we come around this bend here, press the resume button, let go of the throttle, away it goes again. It'll take me up to 60 miles an hour. We're now on a downhill section coming down towards Helmsley, but it's holding me, it's not running away, it's holding at 60 without any issues at all. So there you go, that's the system working I think it's brilliant for the money. I know a lot of people won't use it on a bike like this, but if you're going to and from work and you're doing maybe, I don't know, 20 or 30 miles a day on a dual carriageway, I think this will be very good for you. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, tell me what you think about it, tell me what bike you think it will be better suited to, or what bike you would like it on that it's not on. There'll be a link in the description for the website so you can buy your own should you see fit. I don't get any kickbacks from it, it's not an